a little bit closer here, again, this tornado warning is in effect until 4:45. So again, about 40 minutes from now. It looks like this is semi-rural area. It's right over the town of Knifley at this point, just out, I'm sorry, Nifley, that is. I mispronounced that town. So the town of Nifley, again, is just in the path of this tornado warning. We'll go ahead and put the velocity on it so you can see why this tornado warning was issued, and where those reds and the greens are meeting is why the National Weather Service went ahead and called this tornado warning. Again, we'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer, see who all is in the path of this as we're looking towards you folks in Casey Creek, the town of Nifley. That's right where that rotation is. Zooming out a little bit farther, you see Barnett Springs is also included in this tornado warning, once again in effect until 4:45. We'll show you what the greater radar looks like here, because that is our only warning that's actually in the WHAS 11 viewing area at this time. But of course, it is a tornado warning and something to take very seriously. The rest of Kentuckiana, we are just seeing some heavier showers at times near LaGrange, stretching down to Shelbyville, Taylorsville as well. That is not severe, but any of these storms are still going to be possible to develop very strong wind, as well as hail right around a quarter size. That's an inch in diameter. In that tornado warning that we have farther onto the south for Greene and Adair counties, that's actually producing $half sized hail. So farther over to the north in southern Indiana, we also have some lightning near Salem approaching Palmyra, and it looks like we also have some cells that are about to push in to the Louisville metro. So if you excuse me as I walk off of camera, all of these are propagating off to the east. So this storm is right over Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, in the New Albany area, Clarksville, Georgetown, and Greenville area. But again, that is not severe. So of course, we do want to pay attention to the actual warning that we have going on farther to the south. This is almost just out of the WHAS 11 viewing area here as it approaches Clemensville. That is not in the WHAS 11 viewing area, but we will wait until it actually approaches there, because of course we are watching for you folks near the town of Nifley and Casey Creek. So as we put on the relative velocity once again, it is a pretty quick mover. It's moving off to the east at 35 miles per hour, and you can see where those red and greens are meeting. Again, this is radar indicated, so we do not have proof that there is a tornado on the ground. However, we do need to be treating it as though there is a tornado actually on the ground, because not just a threat of a tornado, but we're also talking about hazards such as damaging wind gusts, straight line winds, as we've seen so frequently across Kentucky, and that can be just as damaging as what a tornado can do, a low end tornado at that. So at this point, with that newest scan coming in, just moving past you folks, or I'm sorry, it's right over you folks in Casey Creek. And as we look back toward the west over Nifley, it looks like that rotation did just pass you, but I'd still be staying in your safe spot just for the next couple of minutes until I'll be able to give you the all clear. Again, for the town of Nifley and for you folks around Casey Creek, there is an active tornado warning in effect until 4:45 as I put the query on here, and we'll once again get down to street level and show you just who is in the path of this. This also is surrounded by a severe thunderstorm warning, but we started seeing that rotation, and that's when the National Weather Service decided to go ahead and issue that tornado warning on top of the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, it's moving off to the east at 35 miles per hour and is just about out of the WHAS 11 viewing area. But still, I know a lot of folks have friends and family there, even if you live in the city of Nifley or the town of Nifley. I'm sure you know folks around Clementsville and Creston, so you'll want to make sure that you're getting a hold of them if you can. If you have elderly neighbors, making sure that you're getting down to the lowest level of your home and away from windows and doors. So here we go, putting a tracker on it, moving it off to the east as that's where the storm is propagating. So it'll be near you folks in Clementsville, here in the next 3 minutes. Also near Posey School, that's at 4:14. So just have about 2 or 3 minutes. You need to be getting in your safe spot. The town of Creston shortly thereafter, 4:17, and same with Liberty, Casey County, and then the town of Reber. Excuse me if I pronounced that wrong. RHEBER. We are seeing new radar scans coming in every couple of minutes, and that's what we're going to continue to keep a very close eye on as we track this tornado warning that again is radar indicated. There may be some new rotation here that we are going to need to pay close attention to. So I'm going to get rid of some of the severe thunderstorm warning boxes just so you can see a little bit closer of what we're dealing with without all of that noise on the radar here. As we try to get rid of some of the extras, we'll go ahead and zoom out so you can see just how far off to the east it does include. So moving right along here, again, tornado warning in effect for Adair and Casey counties. Casey County just outside of Adair, of course, is outside of our viewing area. We're continuing to see this storm move pretty quickly, though. It does look like it's developing a little bit of a hail core. Hail hasn't necessarily been the biggest threat with this storm, but instead, of course, the possibility of a tornado, forming a tornado, and also the straight line wind damage would be possible as that storm's just about right over the town of Clemensville. You can see kind of a briefly dark purplish color that's just off to the east of Casey Creek. But still, if you are in the town of Nifley, Casey Creek, or Barnett Springs, you need to be in your safe spot in the lowest level of your home. In fact, here's just a couple of reminders, which I'm sure you already know. Living in Kentuckiana during our severe weather season, you need to make sure that you're staying or you're finding a sturdy shelter that's away from windows, preferably the basement. I know a lot of folks don't have basements. Then perhaps going into a closet, somewhere that you don't necessarily have very big furniture that could fall over. In addition to that, you'll want to get out of mobile homes. At this point, it's a little bit too late kind of just to get out of the mobile home, but this is kind of prep work for any other folks in Kentuckiana to make sure that you're finding a sturdier shelter before the storm has actually arrived, because by the time it's actually arrived and you have that warning in place, it's going to be simply too late to actually get out of that mobile home. You also want to have a severe weather safety kit, so that includes first aid. You want to have flashlights, candles, and charge your cell phone in the event that you do lose power. Then you can't charge your phone, your computers, and of course we want to have that so that you can still watch our coverage in the event that you do lose power. You can watch on your cell phone. We have the WHAS 11 app, and I believe we're also going to be streaming on YouTube and on our WHAS 11 Facebook page as well. So again, make sure that you are keeping those devices charged. Also, cover up with pillows, blankets, anything to block that debris, especially if you can't find an area that doesn't have large furniture in there or that isn't away from windows or doors or anywhere really that connects to the outside. So the interior-most area of your home, preferably the basement. So now we'll go ahead and get back to that tornado warning that is in effect for our southernmost counties, including Adair County. It's right over you folks in Casey Creek and headed toward Barnett Springs, racing off to the east at 35 miles per hour. Also, the town of Feathersburg, you are just outside of this tornado warning. However, you still should be taking shelter at this time, especially given the very strong wind and the potential for the larger hail that we're seeing. This tornado warning in effect until 4:45. Let's go ahead and put another track on it as it quickly moves out of our area. We'll see exactly where it's headed so you can share that with your neighbors, friends, family, elderly. It's moving toward Creston at this time, and right now actually, and then Walnut Hill School, 4:23, so less than 10 minutes until it's there. 4:24 for the town of Liberty. There's just a handful of lightning strikes with this storm. Very strong wind, around 60 miles per hour, and then it also had a severe thunderstorm warning on it due to the possibility of half-dollar sized hail, which is over 1 inch in diameter. I believe it's 1 1/4 inch in diameter, just bigger than the size of a quarter, So the size of a $50, of course, that's hail that can do some damage. Go ahead and show you the larger view here of what we're seeing elsewhere in our WHAS 11 viewing area. Most of that activity right now is situated in southern Indiana, but it's not going to be staying that way for a whole lot longer, because we're going to start to see this activity really start to blossom in nature over the next couple of hours. So these storms are actually pushing up toward the northeast, stretching from Bedford, where you're starting to see a couple of lightning strikes there lighting up the sky, Salem, Indiana, and then right over 65. This is near Floyd's Knobs, Clark County, New Albany, and moving toward you folks in Sellersburg, and then just to the north of downtown Louisville, pretty much right over the Ohio River. But you notice on the back end of this, as we look further on out to the west, there's a lot more where this came from. I'm not saying that that's necessarily going to become severe, but any storm that gets going is still going to have that potential to at least be on the strong side, as this is all associated with a strong low pressure system. Most of these storms are still just outside of our area near Evansville, stretching down to Madisonville, also the Paducah area, but it's going to continue to push toward our area here in Kentuckiana over the next several hours. This was just the leading edge of what we can expect to see, and kind of a taste of what we can expect to see in the next couple of hours. Let me step off the screen again so I could show you that severe thunderstorm watch that was just posted just about an hour ago. That's going to be in effect for Jefferson County and then affecting all areas down to the south until 11 o'clock this evening. Now that will probably get canceled, or at least shaved off some of these counties before 11 o'clock this evening, as we should see that activity wrap up before 11 o'clock. But even still, we need to be staying weather aware and making sure that you have several ways to receive any sort of additional watches that are posted, and especially any warnings. So I'm going to briefly show you here this on Futurecast so you know what to expect into the next couple of hours. This is essentially what we're seeing right now. It does a pretty good job depicting that storm that is currently tornado warned in Adair County as it continues to race off toward Casey County, moving off to the east. But we will continue to see this sort of activity, especially to the south of Louisville. That's where there's a little bit more juice for these storms to get going and fire up, really to become strong, to potentially severe, and do some damage, especially when it comes to the wind. So you notice kind of that nasty red line there that we're seeing from Bardstown, stretching just off to the east of Campbellsville. Also, Munfordville could see some strong storms pass by you later on this evening. So this is about an hour and a half from now that we can expect some of that activity, and then it should be starting to die down after sunset. I'd say we're probably going to be in the clear after sunset this evening. That's something that I'll continue to update you on. After about 10, 11 o'clock, still could have just some lingering rainfall, but at that point the severe weather threat should be over. Moving along into your Monday, we may wake up to some lingering cloud cover and then see the sunshine return as we head later into the afternoon. But I do want to go over those threats once more. Damaging wind is going to be our biggest concern with these storms that develop. Any of them are going to have the possibility to produce those straight line wind gusts. Heavy rain also could create some ponding on the roadway, and something you'll need to watch out for. Remember to turn around, don't drown, and never drive through flooded roads. Also hail, something that we're seeing quite frequently, especially to the south of the Bluegrass Parkways, where hail has been about a quarter size or even larger, especially with that storm that we're watching right now. Tornado threat, yes, it's been low, but as we've seen, we could have a brief spit up as these storms are moving quite quickly. All it takes is just a little bit for it to produce a tornado, albeit brief and very isolated. That's not going to be a widespread issue for us here by any means. So at this point, it does look like they went ahead and expired that tornado warning for Adair County, as it's lost quite a bit of its strength, no longer showing rotation. So I'll show you just one last time what else we're seeing across Greene, Taylor, and Adair counties. It looks like just some heavier rain, maybe a little bit of smaller hail near the Gradyville area, but that tornado warning has been allowed to expire. So with that, we'll go ahead and send you back to programming, and I'll cut in as necessary over the course of the evening. Oh my God, I've never done that before. I've never had to do that by myself.